Hey folks, so it's my birthday again. I'm 27 years old now, which feels weird, and I have officially run out of Blue's Clues birthday surprise videos to make because I've already done all the paths. So a couple years back I made a tier list video ranking every Disney villain, and if YouTube analytics is anything to go off of, that ended up being a very popular video. So I decided to do something similar, but a little different. It's another Disney tier list video, but this one's gonna be much more unique. See, here's the thing. You can type into YouTube Disney villain tier list, and you can get no shortage of videos that people have made. But here, I'm gonna make something really unique. Something that nobody, to my knowledge, has ever done before because it's just so weird. But it occurred to me that this is something that's possible, and man, I'm just excited to try it out. So this time, we're ranking Disney characters, but we're not ranking the Disney villains. And we're not ranking them based on how good they are. Today, we are ranking every single Disney government leader based on how much I would want to live under their rule. Yeah, this is gonna be a weird one, folks, but I think it's gonna be pretty awesome, and hopefully it'll be entertaining to watch. So, first things first, I guess we should go over the tiers themselves so you guys can kind of understand how I'm really ranking things. So at the very top tier, the very best that a government leader can be is I would leave my homeland to live under their rule. This is literally like the best you can be as a government leader. You're so good that even I would be willing to leave where I am right now in order to move to that location that they are governing over because they're just that good. I honestly don't think that there's a single character here that could possibly reach this level. This has been more just like a dream of like, it's theoretically possible. I don't think there's going to be anybody in this tier though. It's going to be real hard to make it there because I do like America. One tier below we just have, I'm a big supporter. This is, yeah, I'm not going to like move from where I am to live in your government area, but having said that, if you were the leader in my country, I'd very much like living under you. I'd be a big supporter. Heck, I might even campaign for you, you know? I'm just a real big fan all around. Then one tier below that we have, I'd vote for them. You know, you don't have to be like amazing to get my vote, you know? You just have to be the best option out of the people running. And I also am aware that not every character on the list that we're gonna go through is a elected leader. Most of them are monarchs, but this is kind of the picture. This is something where I'm like, yeah, I'll support you. Maybe I don't like really like you, but at the very least, I think you'd be a competent leader. That's basically what this tier is. Are you competent? Then I'll vote for you. Next is kind of the midway tier. This is I'm indifferent. So this can honestly mean I really just wouldn't have much of an opinion of them as a government leader, or it could be that there's some good stuff, but also some bad stuff to the point where not good enough for me to vote for you, but I'm also not going to like actively wish you weren't the governor pretty much, or whatever leadership position that you're in. Then we've got the I hate them tier. These are the people where if they're the leader, I would be complaining about them a lot, and I would really wish that they weren't the leader, and I'd be very much looking forward to them getting replaced by somebody else. Definitely do not like them. They'd be pretty terrible. However, they're not quite bottom tier. At the very bottom, we have Viva la Revolution, which is basically, you are such a bad leader, I would actively join a rebellion or a militia group to assassinate you and take you out and replace you with someone better. So that's going to be stiff competition. Like, you know, it's going to take a lot to go in this tier because I don't take, like, rebelling against the government lightly. However, I actually think we're going to be seeing quite a few characters in here just because, you know, we're ranking all Disney government leaders, the good and the bad. I should also mention that a government leader maybe is a little bit of a loose definition as far as Disney goes, but basically the two main criteria I looked at are, one, are you ruling over specific people, and two, are you ruling over a piece of land? You kind of need both in order to qualify as a government leader, and there are some characters we'll be ranking today that are maybe a little bit on the, like, well, they could be, but they couldn't be. It's a little in the middle. If there's ever some doubt of, like, I'm not sure if they are a government leader, but they could qualify, I erred on the side of including them on the list. So there will probably be some characters like, I don't think they're a government leader. It doesn't matter. I'm ranking basically everybody. anybody. Most of them, it's pretty clear if they're royalty or if they are either ruling over a specific land or country or they're going to in the very near future, like by the end of the movie. That's what I'm including. Finally, I am only ranking Disney government leaders from Disney animated canon movies from the year 1937 to 2020. So, everyone from Snow White up to and including Frozen 2. I will be ranking them for all those movies. Link in the description for a list of the movies that I'm ranking. It's not going to include that time period. You have to do that yourself. So this means if you leave a comment saying, why didn't you rank this person? And you list a person that is not from one of those movies I listed, don't do that. If you do that, best case scenario, I'm going to ignore or delete your comment. Worst case scenario, I'm going to mock you mercilessly in the comment section. I don't want to see any stupid comments being like, you didn't rank this person, and you list something from like, oh, why didn't you rank Lightning McQueen? You know, he's kind of a leader. Like, I'm gonna mock you for that. So just be smart before you comment. Another thing that you might be noticing is that, obviously for a list like this is going to get a little bit political. At the very least, you're gonna have to understand some of my political beliefs. I'm not gonna go super in depth, but I will at least be upfront about some of my main beliefs so that way you can kind of understand my ranking better. As I'm sure a lot of you are aware from reading my about pages on Twitch and or YouTube, I am definitely on the conservative side of things. I'm actually pretty far on the conservative side of things. I definitely am a big fan of the smaller the government, generally the better. You know, the less the government's involved with my personal life, generally the more I am happy. Obviously, the government has some pretty important roles, but more or less, I generally err more on the side of, I think, individuals and, like, groups in the community should largely be responsible for the community, and the government should basically just be responsible for protecting things and some very basic things that affect the land as a whole. But I don't want the government poking their nose into every aspect of my life. So that's pretty much all you really need to know, and I'll probably go into more detail as time goes on and as we rank. So with that long intro out of the way, let's get started on the actual tier list. So our first movie that we're looking at is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and our very first villain is Queen Grimhilde. She is the main villain, the evil queen. Yeah, her official name is Queen Grimhilde. And I mean, she's a terrible person, no doubt about that. Like, she's literally the evil queen, and she tries to kill her stepdaughter because she's prettier than her, which is just horrible. This one, I mean, okay, a lot of these are going to be tough. So, obviously, I hate the queen. She's evil. But this is kind of one of those interesting situations where, obviously, the person in question is terrible, but would their government rule be terrible as well? Because, yeah, obviously, she's a horrible person, but at the very least, it seems like she keeps to herself government-wise. She just kind of hangs out in her castle, looks in the mirror all day. And at the very least, looking at the Seven Dwarves, they're making plenty of money with their jewels. They don't seem to be paying high taxes, so that's nice. But at the same time, I mean, she's a literal murderer. She killed her own stepdaughter because she was jealous of her beauty, which means that anybody who has a child that is more beautiful than the queen herself, she's gonna go out and try to kill as well. I mean, she'll know because of the magic mirror, so yeah, no, we can't allow that. Viva la revolution! No queen like that should be able to serve as my government leader, no way. And it probably wouldn't be that hard to get a militia group together looking at the Seven Dwarfs, so there you go. Very first character we're ranking, it's already Viva la Revolution, so wow, that's just amazing. This is a great start. I have a feeling that this tier is gonna get kind of full. Alright, next up is we've got Snow White and her prince, Prince Florian. Now, this is where things are still going to start to get real tricky, because whereas we get a pretty good idea of how Queen Grimhilde would rule, we don't get any kind of idea of how good of a leader Prince Florian or Snow White would end up being. We kind of just have to guess, which there's not a whole lot to go off of. At the very least, though, just the mere idea of Prince Florian is not appealing to me, because the age difference between them is way too great. Snow White's 14, and her prince is in his 30s. That's not okay by any stretch of the imagination, so I definitely can't vote for them. No way they're going up to that. They're not any higher than I'm indifferent. Do I hate them, though? I mean, I can hate the fact that they're together, but as far as their rule is concerned, I think I have to put them in the I'm indifferent category just because there's not a whole lot to go off of. We have no idea what their politics are going to be or what their rule is going to be like, but at the very least we can get an idea if it's definitely going to be better than Grimhilde's, and it's probably not going to be absolutely awful, but I definitely can't vote for them for personal reasons. Pinocchio did not have any government leaders, so the next movie would be Fantasia. That also didn't really have a whole lot of government leaders, but I included 2 on here, which are a bit of a mixed bag, I'll say, which are, you could go either way of do you think there are government leaders or not. And first up, we've got Zeus from the Pastoral Symphony. I mean, Zeus, is he a government leader? He's a Greek god, and he is the ruler over the other Greek gods, and he does rule over Olympus, so based on the definition I gave, I decided to include him in this tier list, because why not? This is also an important time where I should note that when I'm ranking a character, I am ranking them purely from their portrayal in the Disney movie that I'm ranking them from, which means a character like Zeus, who obviously has depictions outside of this movie, I'm not including those. I'm including just the Zeus portrayal from Fantasia. If there are any characters that we rank later on that have deeper portrayals in, say, direct-to-DVD sequels or live-action remakes or TV shows, I will not be ranking any of those, just their portrayal in the Disney animated canon movies. So, this makes Zeus a little hard to rank because he kind of just hangs out, sleeps, then when he wakes up, he makes it storm and throws lightning bolts at everybody. You know, for fun. That's not very fun. But at the same time, this is also another thing we have to think about, which is, if I'm living under Zeus's rule in this movie, would I just be a regular human? Or would I be a Greek god as well? Because that is going to change things. Obviously, if you get hit by Zeus's lightning as a human, that's going to kill you, which is a real deal breaker. Whereas if you're a god, and by god I mean god with a lowercase g, then that means the lightning's not going to kill you, but it would probably hurt you, or at the very least be annoying. So at the very least, I certainly hate Zeus. Is he Viva la Revolution worthy? Also, can we Viva la Revolution Zeus? Because again, he's immortal. So, I mean, I guess we can knock him down and be like, yeah, you're not ruling anymore. We can't get rid of you, but we can stop taking orders from you. But again, he seems like he's the strongest of the gods, so is that possible? Ugh. Again, it's hard. I mean, at the very least, it seems like nobody in that area in Fantasia wants to be under Zeus. Like, they're all like, oh no, Zeus is awake. Everyone hide. Like, that's no way to live. So no, Viva la Revolution for him. I don't know if we can, and he's not to the same extent as Grimhilde, but yeah, we can't live under that. We could get enough people together, we could overthrow Zeus, I think. I think that's possible, and I think that that's warranted. Alright, next up we've got Chernabog, aka Satan. And I mean, as a Christian, can I put him anywhere other than the absolute bottom of the bottom tier? No, I can't. It's literally Satan. He's Satan, the father of lies, the father of all evil. You do not want to be living under Satan's rule. As we saw in the Night on Bald Mountain sequence in Fantasia, he literally just tortures his own minions for fun. Yeah, that is the actual worst. If you're living under Satan, it's time to Viva la Revolution, except I guess the real problem is he's also immortal, and thus you can't Viva la Revolution him. So I guess the moral of this story, folks, is don't be in a position where Satan's got authority over you. That's not a good place to be under. Be under Jesus' authority, not Satan. So, very bottom of Viva la Revolution for you. Alright, Dumbo does not have any government leaders, so we're now on to Bambi. And yes, there are government leaders in Bambi, but not maybe of the type you're thinking of. The first up we have is Bambi's dad. Yeah, you're thinking, Bambi's dad is not a government leader. He is, actually, because, for one, he's the great prince of the forest. 2, he is ruling over the herd of deer that live there, and 3, he's ruling over the forest itself. Not just the deer, but all of the creatures of the forest kind of answer to Bambi's dad. And based on the rules for what a government leader is I listed at the beginning, this means Bambi's dad does indeed count as a government leader. I'm ranking him anyways. If you don't like it, too bad. So Bambi's dad. I mean, honestly, Bambi's dad is awesome. Like, as far as a government leader goes, he's pretty much everything that you could want. Yes, he's a bit cold, he's distant, but honestly, I almost consider that a plus, because this means that He might be like the head honcho, the ruler who you have to answer to, but he's kind of like distant. He kind of just lets the creatures of the forest do their own thing. He only really steps in if he absolutely needs to, like say, if man is in the forest trying to hunt them. He is well aware of the dangers man presents, and it always takes decisive action to get him and all the creatures to safety. So I'm actually, not only would I vote for Bambi's dad, I'm a big supporter of Bambi's dad. He's awesome. I'm not gonna leave where I am in real life to be a deer living under him, because I'm assuming that if I'm living under Bambi's dad, I'm not a human, I'm just another creature of the forest. And I'd like to have Bambi's dad as the leader, you know? He's very capable, but at the same time, he's not gonna be intrusive in every aspect of my life. So yeah, I'm a big supporter, and honestly, Bambi's dad, he might be hard to beat, you know? Because he's kind of everything you would want in a government leader, you know? Very capable, steps in, performs an important duty, but doesn't overextend his power, which is great. Although, next up on the list, we have Bambi. Remember, folks, Bambi was not a fawn for the whole movie. Bambi was only a fawn for about half of it, and then he grows up into a fully grown buck. And he basically becomes a successor to his father in a lot of ways. And honestly, folks, not only would I vote for Bambi, Bambi has actually surpassed his father on the tier list. Bambi is the character to beat on this tier list, ladies and gentlemen. Bambi is the character to beat, because Bambi's basically everything his father is and more. Bambi is capable. He fights off a bunch of hunting dogs. He escapes from a forest fire after getting shot with a shotgun. He saves the animals of the forest. He fights off another deer. He's strong. He's totally capable. He definitely can lead properly. And just a little bit of a way that he's even better than his father is the fact that he's just a little bit more friendly. You know, Bambi's dad, the one fault is like whenever he walks by, all the animals basically have to be, oh, it's Bambi's dad, we must pay homage to him. Whereas Bambi, he just seems like he'd be a bit of a pal. Maybe a little more intrusive, but he seems to mellow out a bit more as he grows. So yeah, Bambi is the character to beat. He actually might end up being the top. He might actually end up being the top character on this tier list. Now we get into the package films, and most of them do not have government leaders. However, there was one movie that might, and that is Fun and Fancy 3. There's a couple of characters here that I would say kind of tread the line between government leader and not. Not in the Bongo segment. While Lumpjaw is kind of like the biggest bear around, he's not in any way hinted at being the leader of the bears. It's more just like, oh hey, they're happy that he seems to have found love. But there's no indication that he actually rules over the bears, so I did not include him on the list. However, I did include the golden harp from Mickey and the Beanstalk. This is also another one where it's like, I don't know, could go either way as far as government leader is concerned, but at the very least, she lives in the castle in Happy Valley, which is clearly where the people are ruling, and we don't see any other ruler, so she was the closest we could get. And I'll be honest, folks, I have no idea where to put the golden harp. At all. No idea. Why? Well, simple. The golden harp's mere presence makes Happy Valley prosperous and lush and beautiful and a wonderful place to live, but as soon as she gets taken away, the entire valley turns into a wasteland. So, like, what do we do with that? So the harp, it's just the harp's presence that does that. The harp itself doesn't actually do anything. It's not like a capable leader. It's just like, it's magic. So, on the one hand, it would be great to have a magic harp that just makes your land better. Like, that would be awesome. But at the same time, if she's the leader, she can't really protect herself from external forces, you know? It makes it more economically prosperous, but it does not provide any kind of military safety. So as soon as she gets taken, she basically turns the country into a miserable place to live. So, trade-off? I mean, if it weren't for that factor, I would definitely be a big supporter. She might even be able to topple Bambi, but because as soon as she goes away, everything just goes terrible, I have to put her in the I'm indifferent tier, because I'm not indifferent, because obviously I would love the benefits of having the harp as a leader, but I would also hate what that would mean when the harp eventually has to step down. So it averages out to I'm indifferent. I'm going to put her probably at the top of the I'm indifferent tier, because I actually remarkably have strong feelings. I probably should have renamed this tier, but there we go. So that's where the golden harp lies. And another character from Fun and Fancy Free that kind of toes the line a bit is Willy the Giant. I wasn't really sure whether to include him or not, because he clearly rules over a land, like the land of the clouds, and he has that giant castle. He doesn't really have people he's ruling over, but he kind of rules over Happy Valley after he takes the Golden Harp. So it was very much towing the line. I decided to include him on the list, you know, just in case. And I mean, I love Willy as a character, but I mean, he literally does not care whatsoever about his subjects. So at the very least, he's going in the I hate him tier. Again, don't necessarily hate him as a character, but would hate being living under him as a government ruler. But is he Viva la Revolution worthy? I mean, again, it's hard. That's the thing, though, because Willy keeps to himself. He took the okay, he doesn't really. He took the harp, but he took the harp not really as an act of maliciousness, more just as like, oh, I like the harp, looks pretty, and it seems pretty solid. I want that. So, and he kind of has the mind of a child, so he didn't really know what he was doing was wrong, and he wasn't aware that taking the harp away caused Happy Valley to turn into the wasteland. So, am I indifferent about Willy? I feel like Willy could learn potentially, but also at the same time, he has no problem trying to kill Mickey, Donald, and Goofy as they try to take the harp back. So, no, okay, I'm gonna put him in the I hate him tier. I would hate living under Willy's rule, but I don't think it would reach the point where I would actively want to kill him. Man, this is sounding dark, man. It really is. This is gonna be a dark video, but well, there you go. This is gonna be interesting, I guess. This is why you clicked on the video, for these weird analyses like this. Okay, we've moved on beyond the package films because I looked it up. I triple checked everything and even had my sister kind of double check me as well. And I'm pretty sure we've got all the government leaders. Having said that, if there's a government leader from a movie that I've included that I did genuinely forget, please feel free to let me know. But I'm pretty sure there were no other Disney government leaders in the package film. So now we move on to Cinderella, where we've got the King. I don't think he has a name, he's just the King. And, okay, ignoring the fact that he's a monarchy, and I naturally am averse to that, the King is a bit of a split character. Because again, we don't really get to see his governing style, we more just get to see him as a person who wants grandkids and is willing to push his son with somebody who he may not even want to be with because he wants grandkids. But at the very least, the King seems pretty bipolar. You know, he goes from like really happy to actively trying to kill his duke over a single piece of news. So, I don't know if it would reach I hate him, but I'm probably indifferent to him. More or less so than Snow White. Because of his mood swings, I'm actually going to rank him slightly lower than Snow White and Prince Florian. Again, it's not great to have a leader who's just so easily prone to changing their mind at the snap of a single emotion. But at the same time, I don't think that would reach the level of hatred, because he seems, at the very least, like he's a family man. He seems like he's trying his best, so there we go. That's Prince Charming's dad. Speaking of Prince Charming's dad, we now have Prince Charming and Cinderella. You're going to see that pretty much every single Disney piece of royalty I'm going to include with their spouse, because they technically rule together. Now, Prince Charming and Cinderella is a couple I can get behind way more so than Snow White and her prince. The age difference is much less, and we actually get to see a little bit more of them. Cinderella, for example, knows the benefit of good hard work, and Prince Charming seems like he's actually a pretty swell guy. I know there's a lot more exposition on them in Cinderella 2 and especially Cinderella 3, but again, not including those because those are not part of Disney animated canon. I'm just ranking them from the movie Cinderella, and you know what? I'd vote for them. I know they're monarchy, but I feel like they would actually be pretty good rulers. They don't rank, they don't compete with the deer, obviously, but like, you know what? I'd vote for it. Prince Charming, he seems like a fairly capable fellow, so there you go. Oh, okay. And now we have the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. And yeah, that's an immediate Viva la Revolution. Not to the same extent as Satan, but she's a worse leader than Queen Grimhilda because she's literally just makes beheadings like her favorite pastime. If you want to talk about having a temper and being bipolar, well, she puts Prince Charming's dad to shame. Yeah, the Queen of Hearts, there's no other option. Viva la Revolution, she's got to go. She's got to go. We cannot let a ruler who just constantly loves beheading people be the ruler of a land, even if it's a land as weird as Wonderland. She has got to go. She's got to go. Okay, now I also included Peter Pan on this list. Again, Peter Pan's not what you would think of it for a government leader, but He is the leader of the Lost Boys, and he does at the very least seem to kind of rule over a piece of Neverland. Obviously, he's got his hideout, and he's going to protect his hideout and the surrounding land from both the Indian tribe as well as Captain Hook. So I decided to include him on this list anyways. And you know what? Man, I would hate living under Peter Pan. Peter Pan is such a little stinker. Peter Pan is a great movie because it's exactly showing you why it would be terrible to be young forever and to never grow up. Because Peter Pan, you're like, oh man, like he's the boy who never grew up, he's gonna be awesome. And it's like, well, kind of, he can fly, but he's also kind of a terrible person. So I don't really know if you would want to live under him. Yeah, I would hate living under Peter Pan. You know, I don't want some bratty kid bossing me around and basically willing to flitter my life away just to have a laugh. So yeah, that would be pretty bad. I don't think quite as bad as Willy, mainly just because Peter Pan's less dangerous than Willy. Yeah, he can fly, but Willy's a giant and could just smoosh you, so at the very least you'd stand a bit more of a chance against Peter Pan. I did not include Captain Hook on this list. I originally had, but I realized while he has his crew he rules over, he doesn't rule over any piece of land. He's a pirate, he has his ship, but he doesn't rule over a piece of land. He just kind of sails around and does his thing and wants to defeat Peter Pan. So, as much as I would like to put him on this list, I can't. However, I can put the Ka Chief from Peter Pan on the list. He's the Indian tribe leader, and I mean, again, I would hate living under the Ka Chief. I think probably even more than Peter Pan, honestly, because he is willing to burn people at the stake for specific crimes, and that's a big no-no. Actually, we're gonna move that lower than Willy. As soon as you bring out the burning at the stake, that's very inhumane. I'm not a fan of that. I also really wouldn't want to live in Neverland in the Indian camp. Bit of a culture shock. Don't think I could do that. I know that he kind of becomes their friend later in the movie, but at least for a lot of it, it's like, yeah, I don't really want to live under that. I just don't. Okay, Lady and the Tramp had no government leaders, so we move on to Sleeping Beauty, which has a lot. Starting off with King Stefan, who is Princess Aurora, aka Sleeping Beauty's father. King Stefan, again, it's kind of hard to rank. Obviously, he seems like he's a decent leader, but at the same time, he also kind of encroaches on his authority a little bit. I know he's literally the king, but he's like, there's this prophecy that my daughter will prick her finger on a sewing needle. Every sewing needle in the entire land shall be burned. And it's like, oh, okay. So he's definitely willing to use his authority to that extent. I would not really like living under that, but at least I understand that. So I would put him in probably the I'm indifferent tier. I will rank him higher than the king from Cinderella, because at the very least, Stefan seems to be a bit more in control of his temper, and he had at least genuinely, like, understandable reasons for burning all the sewing needles, but still, I don't want somebody with that level of authority going around and just doing this, like, oh, well, if it made a prophecy about computers, every computer will be destroyed. Like, oh, that would be terrible. But at the same time, I wouldn't hate him. I would just, you know, I don't really want to live under his rule. Okay, no, you know what? I'm bumping him above. I'm bumping him above the dreamboats as well. So there you go. Then we've got King Hubert from Sleeping Beauty, who's Prince Philip's dad. And I mean, what do I say about him? I mean, he likes his alcohol, that's for sure. And he's kind of just King Stefan. Like, there's not a whole lot that's different between the two, except that maybe this guy likes his alcohol a little bit more. He doesn't burn all the spinning wheels, but at the same time, he's also kind of against the new stuff. He's like, no, the old ways are the best. So actually, I kind of admire that, but also he would be kind of against computers and stuff in the real world. I don't know what I'm saying, by the way. I'll just kind of put him as the combo deal with King Stefan. Honestly, they're more or less the same character, but because he didn't destroy the sewing needles, I will rank him slightly higher. And then we got Maleficent, because remember, even if she's not technically royalty, she does live over the Forbidden Mountain, and she does definitely have her servants and goons. So she definitely qualifies, and she's a nasty piece of work as well. She's definitely Viva la Revolution tier. But where in this tier does she belong? She's obviously better than Chernabog. I'd say she's better than the Queen of Hearts. Maleficent doesn't seem quite as execution happy as as the Queen of Hearts. She also doesn't seem quite as execution happy as, say, Queen Grimhilde. So really, is she better or worse than Zeus? She's a little worse than Zeus, I think. I mean, for all that she proclaims to be the mistress of all evil, she's actually not one of the more evil Disney villains. Yeah, she curses the baby. That's pretty bad. But I think a lot of this was just like, I didn't get invited to the party. It's super petty, obviously, but I feel like she's less trigger. Like, I feel like all of her evil actions have clear reasons, even if they're not great reasons, whereas Grimhilde is a bit more just seems a little mentally unstable. Maleficent at least seems like she's got her head on. She's just evil, so... Actually, that might be worse. No, I'm keeping her there. I've made my decision. I'm keeping her there. And then finally, we have got Prince Philip and Princess Aurora, aka Sleeping Beauty. And, okay, again, Aurora doesn't have a whole lot of characterization, but Prince Philip does. And I gotta say, I am a big supporter of Prince Philip. No question. Anybody who kills a dragon to save the one he loves instantly gets my vote, if not instantly makes me a big supporter of them. It's fantastic. Not only that, but he even has that line with his father, like, Father, you feel like it's not like, Father, like, come on, wake up, it's the 15th century, where he's like trying to move forward and marry for love, which, like, I appreciate that. I appreciate that over the arranged marriage that his dad was trying to get. But the irony was he fell in love with his arranged marriage, so that was great. So yeah, they seem like they actually have had their heads on straight. They seem like a great couple. That's a very cute photo of them, by the way. Not related to my ranking at all. No, I'm a big supporter of Philip. He's easily one of the best princes. Is he better than Bambi and his dad, though? Yes, he is, because he killed the dragon. Congratulations, Philip. You might be the only character on this tier list who actually ends up surpassing the deer, which is hilarious. But there you go. I'm a big supporter. I think they would make a great couple, and I think they'd make a good royal couple. Like, that's one royal couple I'd be like, come on, guys. Imagine if the royal couple in the UK, like, imagine if the king or the prince at that time was, like, literally killed the dragon. Wouldn't you be, like, proud to have them as your king? Wouldn't you be boasting about that? Like, Ireland, guess what? Like, our king killed the dragon. Did yours kill a dragon? I don't think so. Like, come on. Like, you don't want to brag about that. That would be great. It's honestly tempting to move there just to be like, I live in a land where the leader killed a dragon. That would be awesome. Also, for those of you who are looking at this being like, well, technically he's Prince Philip, not King Philip. No, but the implication is that he's going to take over for his dad someday. Very clearly towards the end of the film. Same with, like, all of these other royal couples. So that's why I included them. Alright, 101 Dalmatians does not have any government leaders to my knowledge, so we move on to the Sword in the Stone with Arthur. Now, this one is hard to rank, because obviously this is King Arthur from the legend, and King Arthur is amazing. Really, really cool guy. But again, I can't rank these characters based off of their real-life legends or how they appear in other media. I can only go off of the Disney movies, and unfortunately, for some dumb reason, when Disney made an adaptation of King Arthur, they only adapted the parts of him when he was like a weird 10-year-old boy. So I have to look at 10-year-old Arthur Pendragon. By the way, did you know Arthur's last name is Pendragon, which is like the coolest last name ever? That's pretty awesome. Unfortunately, his last name can't save him. I would not like living under Arthur's rule. But it's not because I don't like Arthur. I actually think Arthur is pretty cool and kind of based. The problem is he appointed Merlin as his advisor, or rather, Merlin appointed himself as his advisor. And if you didn't know, I am not a fan of Merlin from that movie. He is terrible. So, on the one hand, we get Arthur, who's pretty cool, and we know he's going to grow up to be cool. But on the other hand, we have Merlin, who is not. So as a result, I put him in the between. I put him in the I'm indifferent tier. I'll put him above the two Sleeping Beauty kings, though. He seems like he's going to be a more capable guy long term compared to them. King Stefan's just glaring at Arthur like, a child is higher than me on the tier list? How? Well, sorry, but he didn't order all of all the spinning wheels to be destroyed. Actually, oh, if I put them in between, it's like he's glaring at him, but King Hubert's like, oh, this boy is gonna go on to do great things. No, I think we're doing that. If it was fully grown Arthur, he would be way higher, though. All right, now we're off to the Jungle Book, where we got 3 government leaders, and 2 of them are going to be controversial at the very least. So the first up, we actually have the leader of the wolf pack that takes in Mowgli. I mean, it's hard to tell if they were a government leader. Obviously, they are the leader of a pack, but do they rule over land as well? And I think they do. There's like the part of the jungle that's kind of like, yeah, that's their part of the jungle. So I included them, again, just to be safe. And I mean, again, they're just a regular wolf pack. They seem fine. I'd be kind of indifferent. I'll put them above Snow White, but below the royalty. I'd trust the royalty more than I would trust the wolves, but I do at least appreciate that the wolves genuinely took Mowgli in when he needed them to. So that was actually pretty cool. But I don't, again, because they only had like 5 minutes of screen time, it's hard to judge them against the other characters. So there you go. You're above. Congratulations, you made it above Prince Creeper. I hope you're proud of yourself, whatever your name is, Wolfpack leader. Then we've got the Colonel, who is like the elephant leader in the Jungle Book. I mean, okay, because again, he leads the elephants, and he kind of has his like path or patrol area that he goes around, so I included him. I mean, he just seems kind of lame. Again, I'm kind of indifferent. Like, he does his own thing. I'll put him at the bottom of I'm indifferent. He's kind of annoying because he makes people go on these long marches and, like, definitely plays up like the I'm the leader. He's not great. I wouldn't put him in the I hate him tier, but at the same time, I wouldn't really like being under the Colonel, whatever his name is. Don't remember. I even had to look up his name. Don't remember. So there you go. That's where the elephant is. And then finally, we've got King Louie from that movie, who actually is genuinely a leader because, you know, he's a king, rules over the monkeys, and rules over his personal temple. I mean, King Louie seems like the kind of guy who would throw some swankin' parties, but also is a little crazy. So I probably would not like living under King Louie. But at the same time, he's not like execution happy. He's more just like he's a little weird, but he he's a little confused, but he's got the idea. That's kind of. I think I would actually like. Would I like him more than being under the elephant or not? Probably not. I actually think you'd have a more peace, because again, I kind of like being on my own and doing my own thing. And King Louie sounds like it would just be. There would always be something happening when King Louie is your leader. Which some people would really like that. I would like that from time to time, but would ultimately be like, oh my gosh, King Louie, will you please shut up? But there you go. King Louie beats out Peter Pan. Just barely, though. And then we move on to Robin Hood, starting with Prince John. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a revolution! Yeah, if Prince John is in charge, for one, he's not even supposed to be the real king. King Richard is. And also, he's literally just like, I charge 100% taxes. So you literally just have to give all your money to the government. And he does a terrible job with it. He doesn't do anything with it. He just hoards it. So yeah, you need to Viva la Revolution him. He may not, like, kill for sport like the other people here, but, like, you can't live with that. Like, people are gonna die regardless. Or at the very least, just live in prison. You can't. He's a tyrant. You gotta Viva la Revolution him. And clearly, there's already a militia group in place to help join. You would join Robin Hood and his merry men and take down Prince John for sure. Because, yeah, I'm not living in any place where they charge 100% taxes, or even like 80% taxes, or whatever it is. AKA pretty much any place in the UK. I mean, what? That's not true. And then, on the other side of things, you got King Richard. And again, King Richard is a real-life person, just in lion form. But again, we only have to go based off of the movie, which is great, because I don't know my British history very well. I mean, King Richard seems like he's pretty great. He pardons the rebellion group. He puts his brother in prison. I mean, that's pretty great. You know, I'd vote for King Richard. Would I vote for him over Prince Charming, though? Yes, because he, as you can see, he's proudly wearing that nice Crusader outfit. I know the Crusades probably shouldn't have happened, but I mean, the Crusader outfits are pretty cool. So, there you go. I would vote for King Richard. He seems like he'd be pretty great. Again, purely based on how he is in the movie Robin Hood by Disney. Nothing else. And then we've got a bunch of movies that do not have government leaders until we reach the Black Cauldron, where we have the Horned King, who just barely beats out Satan himself for Viva la Revolution. I mean, he literally wants to kill everybody. and turn them into Cauldron born. Like, that is his whole goal. He wants to become God and kill everybody who opposes him. So, if that's not Viva la Revolution, I don't know what is. He's actually even worse than the Queen of Hearts. At least the Queen of Hearts only kills people who makes her angry. He doesn't, Corn King, he doesn't care if you make him angry. He just wants to kill you anyways. You breathe, he kills you. That's how it works. Still somehow better than Satan. And then, this is one character that I almost missed, but when I did my triple check over everything, there's apparently another leader in the Black Cauldron that I forgot about. Don't know his name, but he's I think he's the leader of the Fair Folk, a little fairy guy. I mean, I literally don't remember this guy from the movie at all, but based on the synopsis, it sounds like he doesn't like anyone who's not a fairy, and he's just kind of a grump. So I'm gonna put him at the bottom of I'm indifferent. There you go. He's worse than King Louie. Have fun there, Mr. I don't know your name. There you go. Next, in The Great Mouse Detective, we have the Mouse Queen, who is literally just supposed to be the mouse version of Queen Elizabeth. Rest in peace. I mean, are we to assume they're the same person? No, again, we have to go just based off of the actual movie. So, I mean, the Queen doesn't do a whole lot except get kidnapped in the movie, so it's hard to rank her. So as a result, I'm pretty indifferent. I'd put her above King Stefan, and I'd put her above Arthur as well. And I put her above that guy. There you go. Mouse Queen seems like she'd be kind of chill, but it also seems like, you know, maybe it wouldn't be the best idea to, I don't know where I was going with that. Maybe she's not as good as the harp, because, I mean, the harp literally blesses the land, but I think she beats out the other royalty. Also, I randomly got the smuggest look for her in the photo. I had to manually find all these photos, by the way, so there you go. And then we've got Ratigan, because Ratigan does become the king of Mousedom, of Mouse Britain for like 2 minutes of the movie. Technically, that counts, and you'll remember, if you saw my Disney villain tier list video, that Ratigan was my #1 Disney villain. But that's in terms of how I like them as a villain. Obviously, if it comes to actually living under Ratigan's rule, at the very least, I would hate living under that. I mean, he's vicious. He literally will kill anybody who opposes him, which makes him worse than the Caw Chief. Is he worse? He deserves Viva la Revolution. You obviously can't live under that. He's taxing the heck out of everybody, will kill everybody who opposes him, so that makes him even worse than Prince John. At least Prince John is only going to lock you up if you're worse than him. But, I'll still rank him higher than the others, though. Maybe just for that smile. Look at that smile. There's Ratigan. Good job, Ratigan. Viva la Revolution. Man, it should say a lot when Viva la Revolution is the second most populated tier on this list. Although, we still have quite a few more characters to go through. Okay, Oliver and Company does not have any government leaders, as far as I remember. So now we go off to The Little Mermaid. Oh boy, my favorite Disney movie. Heavy sarcasm used. We have King Triton. I used to think King Triton was the only good character from The Little Mermaid. I've since changed my mind. King Triton also kind of sucks. He is, again, a 40 figure who really can't control his temper. I will not get into the fact that he banned music from his whole kingdom in Little Mermaid 3, apparently. Because, again, that's not part of Disney animated canon. So just based off the first movie, at the very least, he's pretty involved with people's lives, being like, you will obey my authority. And he's also kind of dumb, where he's like, I don't know how to raise a teenage daughter, even though I've raised 10 others before Ariel. So he seems kind of incompetent. But at the very least, he is more likable than pretty much every other character in that movie. So I think it evens out to, once again, the I'm indifferent tier. But where in the I'm indifferent tier? He's not as good as the Mouse Queen. I don't think he's as good as any of these characters. Not as good as the Wolf. Not as good as Snow White. I mean, he's kind of the same as the King. He's a little worse than the King. They're kind of the same character, if you think about it. They both are family men, and they both, and they both have massive mood swings. King Triton is more physically capable of defending his kingdom, but he's also a little bit more incompetent. So there we go. King Triton goes in the I'm indifferent tier. Alrighty, and then next up we have Ursula. And based on the very brief 5 minutes that we see her with the max power of the kingdom, I know technically she, maybe doesn't become the king, but she gets King Triton's crown and trident, so I think for all intents and purposes, she is kind of the ruler of the seas at that point, so we'll include her. I mean, that's instant Viva la Revolution. She just goes mad with power and tries to kill everybody. It's like Zeus, but worse, because she tries to kill everybody rather than just a couple of people. Makes her worse than Maleficent, makes her worse than Queen Grimhilde. Is she worse than... Yeah, she's actually worse than Queen of Hearts. Not as bad as the Horned King, though. Again, Queen of Hearts is basically just like, let me play croquet, but if you interfere, I'll flip your head! Whereas Ursula is just like, off with everybody's heads. So, right down there with the Horned King. Not quite as bad, though. And then we've got Ariel and Prince Eric, because they do get married at the end and presumably go on to rule together. Now, this is hard, because if it was just Eric, I would be a pretty big supporter. Eric's a cool guy. But because he married Ariel, who is like one of my least favorite Disney characters, I really have to dock him points for that one. Would I still vote for him because he married a terrible person? You know what? You vote for the person, not for the First Lady. So I think I would vote for Eric, but not as highly as I would vote for Cinderella and Prince Charming. Obviously, Eric's cooler than Prince Charming, but Cinderella is way cooler than Ariel. No question. So there you go. Congratulations, Eric. I would vote... You are good enough that I would vote for you in spite of you having absolutely terrible taste in women. But there you go. Okay, now we move on to Beauty and the Beast, because Rescuers Down Under does not have any government leaders. And we have, first, the Beast. And, yeah, I would... Well, here's the thing. The Beast is technically the ruler over that poor provincial town at the beginning of the movie. And nobody even knows he exists. So he's clearly just like, is he the government leader in that case? And he's just like, I don't really care, do what you want. Or is he just only the ruler over the people in his castle? Because obviously, my answer would differ. If living under Beast just meant I was in that poor provincial town and didn't know he existed, I'd be indifferent to his rule. But if I had to live in the castle with him, man, I would hate that. No, I'm going to assume that I'm living in the castle and he's taking an active duty. I would hate that. I would hate that more than Willy. No, I would not hate that more than Willy. Beast has like a fearsome temper and definitely would be like, I hate birds. Birds are banned. But also he wouldn't kill you. So there you go. He's higher than Willy and the Caw Chief, lower than Peter Pan. At least Peter Pan, you'd have a little bit of fun. Beast is just like, get out! I hate everything! Rah! There you go. This has been Artie's impression of the Beast. And then we also have the Beast after he transforms back into a human with Belle as they get married, presumably, and go on to live together. And by the way, the Beast's true name is Prince Adam. So Prince Adam and Belle. Obviously, Belle's pretty cool, one of my favorite Disney princesses, and this is Beast after he undergoes the character development. He still is going to be angry, he still is definitely going to have the mood swings, but I think at the very least I wouldn't hate them together anymore. I would more just be, I'm a little indifferent. So let's see, definitely better than that. I'd say better than King... Yes, better than King Triton, because Belle would at least kind of rein Adam in a bit more. Better than the King. They're a better couple than that. They're better than the Wolf. Are they better than King Stefan? No. I don't think they're better than King Stefan. But there you go. I'd be fairly indifferent to their rule. It's such a shame, because if Belle married someone better, I think they would be actually like a really great couple. But Prince Adam, he's still got some issues to work out. Moving on to Aladdin, we first have the Sultan. Man, I would not like living under the Sultan. I'm just gonna say that. Like, we can see a look at the Agrabah society that he's ruling, and it's not a very great society. That I'm just saying. Doesn't look like a very great place to live in. And also, the Sultan's just kind of adult, so... Is he better than Peter Pan? Again, I think a lot of it is just kind of cultural differences. And I'm not sure how much authority the Sultan would have in that regard. But again, this is assuming I'm moving to Agrabah to live under the Sultan. I actually might rather live under Peter Pan than that. I actually might rather live under the Beast than that. Wow, I'm sorry, Sultan. Like, I don't hate you as a character, but I don't think your rule would be a very fun one to be under. Just saying. Oh, and speaking of fun rule to be under, we now have the horse butt Prince Ahmed himself. I almost forgot about Prince Ahmed. Marty had to catch, like, Artie, why did you not put Prince Ahmed on the list? I'm like, oh, shoot, you're right. I mean, He has a horse's butt, so he's pretty bad. He's actually even worse than the Sultan, but only just. You know, he's more of a stinker than the Sultan, but I imagine his rule would more or less look the same. He would just be a less likable person. So there you go. That's Prince Ahmed. At least he's not going to kill you, but he's also not going to be great to live under. So there. And then we've got Jafar, because he does become Sultan for about 10 minutes of the movie, and he proves to be worse than both of them, basically turning Agrabah into his own personal tyranny state, which obviously we got a Viva la Revolution, that one. But at the same time, I think he's at the top of Viva la Revolution, because it doesn't seem like he's trying to kill people. He's more just like lording his power over everybody. He doesn't even seem to be trying to tax everybody like crazy. He just, again, seems to be lording his power over everybody. However, he also seems to be a little bit insane, so I would definitely worry about being under his rule, and would probably want to take him out. He's just barely on the cusp of Viva la Revolution, and I hate him. But there you go. That's where Jafar is. And then we got the final couple, the royal couple themselves, Prince Ali and Princess Jasmine, aka Aladdin and Jasmine. And it's hard to rank them. It really is. It really is, because again, would they actually implement changes in Agrabah to make it a better place to live? I think they probably would, because of Aladdin, and because Jasmine spent like that one day out in Agrabah and actually saw what it was like instead of staying in the palace all the time. So I actually would have faith that they would improve society, so I am going to move them up a whole tier above the other rulers of Agrabah. I'm at the very least would be indifferent to their rule. I would be a little dubious because Aladdin's background might make him a questionable leader. I think his heart would be in the right place, but I would not trust him to make the right decisions. And Jasmine, well, I mean, she's Jasmine. So she's better than the Weird Fairy. They're better than King Louis. They're better than the Elephant. They're better than him. Are they better than the King? I mean, King Triton and the King are pretty much the same person. Yeah, I like them better than Snow White. No, I don't think I'd like them better than Snow White. I think Snow White actually beats them out in this regard, because maybe it's just because their kingdom seems a little more stable and a little bit closer to the culture than I'm used to, but again, I like these two better as people, but I have more faith that Snow White and Prince Florian's rule would be a more stable one than Aladdin and Jasmine's. I'm just saying that. Oh boy, and now we go to the Lion King, where we got a variety of kings to choose from, starting with Mufasa, and I forgot about Mufasa, folks. How could I forget about Mufasa? He's amazing. In fact, I would say he's even better than Bambi. Is he better than Prince Philip, though? No, because he did not kill a dragon, but he's basically Bambi's dad, except he's a lion, and that instantly makes him much cooler. He's also a more active parent in his child's life than Bambi's dad is, along with Bambi himself. So that alone puts him above the deer as right now the second best government leader, just behind the guy who killed a dragon with his bare hands and the Sword of Truth. Yeah, Mufasa, he's great. Like, he's everything you could want in a leader. He's, great leader, knows everything about the land. He actively keeps trouble out of his land. He's a good dad. And he's voiced by James Earl Jones. He's the full package. He's great. Obviously, I wouldn't want to leave my home to become an animal and live under his rule, but he is pretty cool. On the other hand, however, then we have Scar, who, literally his mere presence, he's the opposite of the harp. The harp's mere presence turns a wasteland into a beautiful, flourishing valley, and Scar's mere presence turns a beautiful, flourishing valley into a wasteland. So I think for that reason alone, we're gonna have to Viva la Revolution him. I'm gonna put him, okay, at the very least, he's a little worse than Jafar. Is he worse than Prince John, who's charging 100% tax rates? I mean, it's hard to say, because they don't pay taxes in the Pride Lands. Scar just seems more like Scar's incompetence seems to be costing the kingdom, where it seems like Prince John actually would probably be a worse ruler. I'm actually ranking Scar as not quite as bad as Prince John, but there you go. He's still Viva la Revolution. And then we got Simba, and while Simba has a great character journey, he's still, by the end of the movie, nowhere near to the extent of his father, that's for sure. He's a fully grown lion, but I definitely have a lot more doubts about him compared to Mufasa. Now, having said that, I think I would still vote for him. Would I vote for him over Eric, though? Probably not. Eric, I trust to be competent. Simba, I feel like, still has a bunch of stuff that he has to go through, like Scar's Ghost. Oh, wait, that's Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 2 is not canon to the Disney animated canon, so we can't include that. But it just seems like Simba still has some issues to work out, and he still has a long way to fill the boots of his father. So, there you go. I would still vote for him, but, you know, I'm still cautious about his rule. Okay, then we come to Pocahontas, where we've got Chief Powhatan, Pocahontas' dad, and the leader of the Native American tribe. I mean, I like Powhatan. Given obviously it's a vastly different culture than what I'm used to, I think he's a pretty great leader. In fact, I would vote for Powhatan. I'd vote for him over Simba. Would I vote for him over Eric? Yes, I would. Would I vote for him over Cinderella and her prince? That's tough. You know, I feel like the top 3 in this tier are all very close to each other. Very close indeed. I think I would leave him there. I think he's going to be in the middle of I'd vote for him. I mean, he's a competent leader, you know? He wants to protect his people. He wants what's best for his people as well as his daughter. He seems to be a strong leader, and he also knows to admit when he's wrong, which is something you very rarely see in politicians these days, so I really admire that. You know what? For that reason alone, for the reason of him admitting he was wrong at the end and stopping the war from starting, I'm actually pushing him to the top of I'd vote for them, because that's something that you just rarely see. Good on you, Powhatan. That's very well done. And then the other character from Pocahontas is Governor Radcliffe, the villain, and this is another character I almost forgot about, and that, again, Marty had to remind me to put on, and I don't know what to do with him, because obviously he's the villain, you know, he's racist, and he also is, like, obsessed with money, very egotistical. It doesn't seem like he's a great person to be under, but at the same time, I wouldn't Viva la Revolution him, so I would probably... Would I hate living under his rule? Again, trying to separate who he is as a person versus who he is as a leader. He actually seems like he kind of has his act together as a leader until he goes crazy with trying to get gold. I feel like if he's constantly going crazy to try to get gold, I would probably end up hating being under his rule. But I would still put him ahead of Peter Pan. You know? I would still put him ahead of Peter Pan. He at least is he's a governor. Like, he seems to be doing his job. He just kind of goes off the deep end. So, there you go. He's the top of the I hate them tier. I double and then triple checked. Hunchback of Notre Dame does not have any government leaders in it. Frollo is a judge, not a governor. And the archdeacon is a leader in the church, but not the leader of a piece of land. And so, they do not count. I do not think there's a single government leader in Hunchback, so we move on to Hercules, starting out with Zeus! Zeus is actually on this tier list twice, once from Fantasia, once from Hercules. The difference here, however, is that the Hercules version of Zeus is going to be much higher up the tier list compared to Fantasia Zeus. And again, we have to look at Zeus himself, because he's the leader of the gods, he rules over Olympus. Now, if I were under Zeus's rule, again, am I a god with a lowercase g? Or am I one of just the Greeks living in Greece, and he's kind of the god over us? It's hard for me to tell, but that would change my opinion. Because, I mean, if living under Zeus's rule granted me immortality, well, I mean... Come on, like, who wouldn't leave their homeland to live under Zeus to be immortal? Like, who wouldn't do that? He would be the top tier. But would I be immortal under him, or would I just be a regular citizen living under him? Because at the very least, he seems not super involved with the people's lives. Either way, I like living under this version of Zeus in particular. Because if you're a human living under him, you know, he'll help you out occasionally, but also he's not super involved with your life. Whereas, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Again, folks, I might be Christian, but I'm going based off of assuming that the Disney movies are true. And if this movie is true, and Zeus actually is a real god, then I would actually end up being a pretty big supporter of him. Would I be a bigger supporter of him? No, because he didn't kill a dragon. But, not as good as Mufasa. Actually, no, he's not as good as the deer. The deer will help you out a little bit more if the chips are down. But I'd still be a big supporter of Zeus. You know, he's pretty cool in Hercules. I'm assuming that he's not well, no, because he rules over Olympus specifically. So there you go. He's top tier because you gain immortality by living under him. And unlike this version of Zeus, where yeah, you might gain immortality, but this guy's a terrible person who would actually strike you with lightning. This guy's actually a good guy. So there you go. He's top tier. All right, next we got Hades, Lord of the Dead, and I think we're in a kind of a similar position here compared to Chernobog, where obviously you don't want to be living under Hades' rule because that means that you're in HE double hockey sticks. But also, we're in the position where you really can't Viva la Revolution him, but that hasn't stopped us with the other ones on the list. So I think I will be putting him... Here's the thing, though, because, like, he's the ruler of the underworld. So, if we're ruling under him, we're assuming we're in the underworld, specifically. It's not like he's ruling on Earth. Oh, this is actually tough. Okay, he's not as bad as Chernobog. Is he as bad as the Horned King? This is hard. Because would Hades also just kill everybody so he's like, I'm lord of all the dead? Or would he, like... I mean, let's be honest. Hades would have no problem killing everybody. Ugh. This is hard. Is he better or worse than the Horned King? Would it be better to live it? I can't believe I'm saying this. I think it would actually be slightly better living under the Horned King. So there you go. There you go, Hades. Yeah, actually, you're just barely... Obviously, you beat out Satan, but you're slightly worse than the Horned King. There you go. All right, now we move on to Mulan, starting out with Shan Yu, who is the leader of the Huns. I mean, I really don't want to be under the Hun rule. It's hard to see what it would be like to be a Hun living under Shan Yu, because obviously he hates the people of China with a vengeance. But if we lived under Shan Yu as a Hun, it feels like he might be not as bad. Again, am I assuming that I'm a Hun living under him, or if I'm a citizen of China living under him, or just myself living under him? Because that's going to have different answers. Because obviously we would have to Viva la Revolution him if we were in China. But if we were a Hun, might actually have a very different view of him. It's kind of like Genghis Khan, where it's like, yeah, Genghis Khan was brutal and conquered the world and killed so many people. But also, if you were loyal to him, he treated you well. So, like, what do you do about that? Ugh. That's so hard. Like, I feel like this is open-ended. It depends on how you view him as a ruler. Because he already rules over a piece of land, but he doesn't conquer China. So I'm going to assume we're living under his, like, if we were a Hun in his army. And for that, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'd actually be kind of indifferent to him. Well, okay, no, because I don't support genocide. Because that is what he was planning to do to China, so... It would be... I really don't think you could Viva la Revolution him, because, for one, I don't think you'd be able to. And number two, if you did, he'd just be replaced with another version of him. So, put him in Viva la Revolution? I'm going to put him at the bottom of I hate them. Maybe that's a bit of a cop-out. That could move. It's hard to rank Shan Yu. But yeah, I would hate being under Shan Yu's rule. But I'm not sure if I would actually go to the extent of being like, we gotta kill Shan Yu. There you go. Now we've got the Emperor from China, and my feelings on China aside, the current Chinese government, this guy's actually a pretty great government leader. He's selfless, he sends the army to protect the people rather than himself. He refuses to bow to Shan Yu when he, like, is threatening to kill him. And he, like, commends Mulan at the end, despite that being very, like, antithetical to his cultural beliefs generally. So, I actually am a big fan. You know what? I'm a big supporter of the Emperor from China. Is he better than the deer, though? Is he better than the deer? here's the thing. Bambi and his dad both play a more active role against the threats, whereas I think this guy did not, but also this guy is old enough that I don't think he physically could. He strikes me as someone where if he was young enough, if he was younger and like actually able, he probably would have fought. So I'm gonna put him ahead of Bambi and his dad. Is he better than Mufasa? Not quite. But he's up there. I'm a big supporter of the Emperor from China. He's a pretty cool dude, in all things considered. Oh, and speaking of big supporter and pretty cool dude, we move on to Tarzan now, and we have Kerchak. Yes, Kerchak is a government leader because he rules over his family of gorillas in a specific part of the jungle. He kind of is the ruler of the jungle. And although many people might say Kerchak is a bit of a jerk, and yeah, he can be, but he's honestly a pretty cool guy, and I'm actually a big supporter of Kerchak. I'm a big supporter of Kerchak. He's awesome. Because, yeah, he's a jerk. Definitely is grumpy, but at the same time, given what happens to him and his wife at the beginning of the movie, it's hard to blame him. I mean, I'd definitely be a grumpy man if that happened to me. And yeah, he's a bit harsh on Tarzan, but he also has reason to kind of fear him since he is a man. And, you know, historically speaking, men, humans tend to bring danger to other creatures. And once Tarzan actually proves he is loyal to the clan, he starts to respect him a whole lot more. And everything Kerchak does is in service to his family. So he actually is quite selfless. So, I'm a big fan of Kerchak. I would not rank him as high as Bambi or his dad, though, because he is a bit meaner. But I'm still a big supporter of him. And again, much like Powhatan, he actually admits when he's wrong at the end. So that's great. Good job, Kerchak. You demand. Or you do gorilla, sorry. Oh, and speaking of Tarzan, we then have Tarzan because Tarzan takes over for Kerchak at the end of the movie because, spoiler alerts, Kerchak dies. So Tarzan's the new leader. And, I mean, Tarzan's basically Kerchak, but better. Because, I mean, he basically has the same beliefs as Kerchak, which is serve the family and, you know, be strong. He's strong, he's adaptive, but he's a nicer person than Kerchak is. So, is he better than the deer? Is he better than Bambi and his dad? Yes, he is. Is he better than the Emperor from China? Yes, he is. Is he better than Mufasa? No, he's not better than Mufasa. Sorry, dude. You come real close, though. But Mufasa just edges you out a little bit. Wow, you know, this is more characters that are ahead of the deer than I expected. I'll be frank. So, there you go. Big supporter of Tarzan. You know, I really like Tarzan. He's the man. He literally is the man. Oh boy, and now we come to everyone's favorite Disney movie, Dinosaur, with two forgettable characters, starting with Crone, who is the original leader of the herd of dinosaurs, and he's just a butt. I wouldn't Viva la Revolution him, but I would hate living under him. He's just an unpleasant person. But I'll put him at the top of the I hate him tier, because like he's a grump, and he's like, let the weak people die so the strong survive. Like, yeah, that's pretty messed up, bro. But at the same time, like, he does care about the herd as a whole. He's just very blunt and has very radically different views from me. But he's not trying to actively genocide people, and he's also not like as much of a stinker as, say, the other characters on this list. Wait, how did the guy who's okay with genocide beat... Wait, hang on. How did the guy who's okay with genocide beat out all of these other people? I'm not sure if he was actually planning genocide or more just like he was okay with killing the Indians, but... Okay, he's not actually trying to genocide. Well, is he? He's willing to go to war. He's not like systematically trying to kill every single one. He's more just like, I want the gold. So that's why he beat out all these others. Okay. It still seems weird that I ranked him when he was willing to kill a bunch of people higher. But here's the thing, Peter Pan also is willing to kill people. Beast is also willing to kill people. They live in societies where they are okay to kill people. Or at the very least, chop off their arms. Not being offensive, by the way. That is literally in the movie. Okay, no, that makes a bit more sense. So Crone, I hate him because he's a jerk. And I don't like his leadership skills, but at least he's not actively okay with really killing people. Well, no, he is! He's actively okay with letting people die, but not being the one indirectly killing people. That puts him slightly ahead, but only slightly. Then we've got main character from Dinosaur, who I genuinely did not remember the name of until I had to look him up like yesterday because I forgot about him, Aladar. Yeah, he takes over for Crone at the end, and I mean, I'm very, very indifferent to Aladar. Very indifferent. I guess he's better than King Louie because he's less noisy, but he's not as good as the elephant. The elephant's cooler. I forgot about this dumb butt. He's like, I'm Aladar, yeah! Great, thanks. Move on to the Emperor's New Groove, and we've got Kuzco. Oh man, come on folks. As much as you love him in the movie, let's be frank, we would all hate living under Kuzco's rule. We would hate living under Kuzco's rule. He only cares about himself. I swear I thought I just saw Shan Yu blink. But that's impossible because this is a PNG file, not a GIF. I swear out of the corner of my eye it looked like he blinked at me, which kind of made me freak out a little bit. No, but let's be frank. We'd all hate living under Kuzco's rule. He's completely egotistical. He's totally okay with destroying villages just to make his own personal water park. Does that make him worse than Crone? Yeah, Kuzco would also have no problem with leaving people to die. He also would have no... it's hard. Because I hate these people for different reasons. Kuzco's obviously a huge pain in the butt to live under, and he definitely is okay with, like, destroying those underneath him. But, oh. Do I hate him more than Governor Radcliffe? I do. Governor Radcliffe, again, has his merits as a leader. Kuzco really doesn't. Is he worse than Peter Pan? I actually think so. Is he worse than the Beast? Yes, he's worse than the Beast. Is he worse than the Sultan and Prince Ahmed? Again, I mainly rank these two low because just the place you would have to live in under their rule would be bad. Maybe I shouldn't have ranked them that low, because I mean, like, if the Sultan was the president of the United States, I probably wouldn't hate him. But again, you kind of can't separate the land you're in with their rule. Because again, they're Disney leaders. Man, this is a hard tier list to make, folks. Is Kuzco worse than the Sultan? Yeah, he's worse than the Sultan. I think he's worse than Prince Ahmed. He's not worse... Is he worse than Willie? He's worse than Willie. He's not as bad as the Ka Chief, though. Or is he? Ka Chief has higher highs and lower lows than Kuzco. That's the problem. I would take Kuzco over the Ka Chief, but man, yeah, it would be bad living under Kuzco. Like, you would not want to live under him. And then we got Yzma, and I'll be frank, as bad as Kuzco is, I mean, Yzma would be worse. But honestly, not by much. She's still in the I hate them tier, just barely slightly lower than Kuzco. And then we've got Kuzco again, because I actually had Kuzco on the tier list twice. Once for Kuzco before the movie started, before he underwent character development, and then Kuzco after he undergoes character development. And after Kuzco undergoes character development, he's much better. Would I vote for him? I'm still on but given his historical track record, I'd be hesitant to vote for him. But I will still rank him higher than the Mouse Queen. So I'm indifferent to Kuzco after character development. Good job, Kuzco. At the end of the movie, you moved up a whole tier. So, congratulations. Then we move into the worst Disney movie ever, Atlantis. Yeah, I'm guessing I'm getting a bunch of Atlantis lovers who will flame me in the comments. If you can tell me in the comments one good thing about the movie Atlantis, please do so. Because I'm genuinely curious to see what people see in this movie. So first we've got the King of Atlantis, whose name I genuinely don't remember because every single character in this entire movie is completely forgettable. King of Atlantis, he's old, and that's it. He's old. So he is bottom of indifferent right there. Like, literally just the bottom of indifferent. I don't want to live in Atlantis. And we don't really know anything about him other than he's old and dies because some guy kicks him. That's it. And then we got Milo, who's the only character in this movie whose name I remember, and then the princess, who I don't remember. I mean, I remember her being in the movie, but I don't remember her name, and I don't remember her personality. Milo was the only interesting character in this movie. Yeah, I'm also indifferent about them, but they're at least better than Old Guy. They'd be better than this guy, whose name I don't remember. Would they be better than King Louie? Yeah, not as good as Aladar, though. And that's sad. If you're not as good as Aladar, like, you've kind of failed. They look so disappointed with me, too. Sorry, folks. This was the only photo of Milo and the princess that I could actually find. So, there you go. Wow. Good job. You're slightly worse than Aladar. Way to go. All right, next we've got the Grand Councilwoman from Lilo and Stitch. Because, I mean, if you're the Grand Councilwoman, to me it seems like, yeah, it seems like you would be a government leader. And I mean, she's the head of an alien council, so the rules are a little bit different, so it's hard to judge, but she seems like a pretty fair ruler. So as a result, I actually would vote for her. Would I vote for her over Simba? Yes, I would. Would I vote for her over Eric? No, I don't think so, just because of the cultural differences. But there you go, Grand Councilwoman. You're actually an example of like a bureaucrat who seemingly actually does their job pretty well. I think she kind of supposed to be one of the villains of the movie because like she's trying to take Stitch away from Lilo at the end, but it doesn't seem like that's an act of spite. It's more just like, hey, the council voted about this and I am their spokesperson. Like it or not, I have to follow through on that. So I appreciate that. She knows her duty. So good job, Grand Councilwoman. Next, so Home on the Range and Brother Bear and Treasure Planet don't have any government leaders. So we move on to everyone's favorite movie, Chicken Little, with Mayor Turkey Lurkey. You know, the turkey who literally has no brain of his own and just reads cue cards off of his advisors. Gee, that sounds familiar.
I was going to excuse me.
Yeah, this one may hit a little personal, so forgive me if this gets a little bit modernly political, but somebody who doesn't have a brain of their own and just has to read off of the teleprompter, I mean, the cue cards, not really a fan of that. I would kind of hate living under that rule, I must be honest. In fact, I probably hate them about as much as Crone, maybe. Well, no, Crone at least is capable of thought. It's actually so is Radcliffe. This guy, it's literally just like you don't have a leader at all, but you still have to do what he says, which is terrible. Better or worse than Peter Pan? Peter Pan has more redeeming characteristics. Better or worse than Beast? Oh, this is a tough one. Turkey or the Beast? Turkey or the Beast? Who's better? Who's better? This is way more difficult than I expected it to be. I would take Turkey over the Beast. Just barely, though. Things are looking a little bit more squished now, but at least we can see everybody. So now we're moving on to Doris from Meet the Robinsons. This is another one where it's like, is that a government leader? Well, she takes over the world at the end, so I would count that. And as a result, that's an instant Viva la Revolution. And this is an interest. She's going to be pretty far down because she literally wants to enslave all of humanity. Not quite as bad as wanting to kill all of humanity, but possibly worse than... Well, Ursula kind of wants to kill... No! It's not really clear if Ursula wants to kill everyone or just the people who have wronged her, but I would actually... You could argue that dying would be preferable to being mind-controlled. But also... The Horned King wants to kill and turn them into mindless zombies, so I think that's worse. So Doris actually is pretty far down on the Viva la Revolution tier, so yeah. Watch out for the robot hat. She's bad news. Next we come to Tiana and Naveen from Princess and the Frog. Now, I'm a fan of Tiana. Tiana's a pretty awesome Disney princess. Prince Naveen, on the other hand, he kind of has a gambling addiction, or at the very least, he's really bad with his money. And let me tell you what, if there's one thing that you don't want your government leader to be, it's being bad with money. So, yeah, I definitely wouldn't trust that. It's unclear whether at the end of the movie he's kind of learned from his ways. At the very least, because he's with Tiana, and I think Tiana would definitely take an active role, he probably would get better, so I think I'm going to move them to the I'm indifferent tier. I would definitely keep my eyes on them, though, because there could be, Naveen could be embezzling some money in that regard. But that's also just pure speculation on my part. Although, I am using the Disney movie that he's from in order to make that decision. So, where in the I'm indifferent tier do they go? Well, certainly they're higher than Aladar. Are they higher than Aladar, actually? At least Aladar, I'm not afraid he's not gonna take money. So actually, I don't think they are as high as Aladar. They're higher than King Louis, though. They're not gonna be constantly bothering me. But the real life fear of them being bad with money in a government where they're in charge of a lot of money, it's gonna be hard. I really hope Tiana is able to actually help him out with that. But I only saw that movie once. I saw it when it came out, and I haven't seen it since, so I don't really remember the movie all that well. I know they get married at the end, though. Or at the very least, they literally get married at the end. So, with the implication that he probably learned from his mistakes is likely in effect. So, there you go. I'm indifferent, but I'm still keeping my eye on you. I trust you less than Aladar, which is real sad. Okay, now we've got the king and the queen from Tangled, Rapunzel's parents. They seem like a pretty great royal couple. They're better than King Stefan. They're very similar to King Stefan, except whereas King Stefan is like, my daughter's at risk. I have to burn every sewing needle. They're like, our daughter's at risk. Let's create a new holiday. So that's instantly way cooler. So as a result, I'd actually vote for them. I would vote for them, and I would vote for them over Grand Councilwoman. I would vote for them over them. Would I vote for them over Cinderella and Prince Charming, though? I think I would. Would I vote for them over King Richard? No, because King Richard has got the really cool Crusader outfit. But they're still quite competent, so good job, King and Queen. Forgot your names, though. Then we've got Rapunzel and Eugene, a.k.a. Flynn Rider. And I like Rapunzel. She's one of my favorite Disney princesses. And I like Flynn Rider, one of my favorite Disney princes. But would they be good government leaders? Because Rapunzel is incredibly sheltered and naive, and Flynn is a bit of a scoundrel. So, that's a toughie. Like, I was afraid that they might embezzle. I might be afraid that Flynn might embezzle money, too. And unlike Tiana, who would actually be able to keep an eye on it, I'm not sure if Rapunzel would. So I'm actually going to rank them lower than Tiana and Naveen. There you go. Still would like them more than King Louis. There's a big gap between King Louis and the people above him on this list. Because King Louis is just like, we're going to party all day and you're going to like it. Whereas they're like, I'm a ruler that comes with some risk. There you go. Oh boy, now we get to look at King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph. Now, I mean, King Candy's got a funny voice and he's a goofball, but he's also a pretty terrible person, very egotistical. But would I hate living under him? I mean, I would beat him at Mario Kart all the time, and he would really hate that. So I would hate living under him. But where on the hate would it go? I mean, he goes crazy at the end, but also he gets eaten by a Cybug, so that might be part of the issue. The Cybug might be the one just making him go crazy, but he was also kind of crazy to begin with. So as a result, it's hard to rank him. Would I take King Candy over the turkey, who reads from the cue cards? Would I do that? Here's the thing, he's at least putting on the front. It seems like his kingdom's not a horrible place to be in unless you're Vanellope, which I presumably wouldn't be. So I actually will put him above Mayor Turkey Lurkey. Would I put him above Peter Pan? I don't think so. So there you go. Now we got Vanellope. I honestly feel like I might rather live under King Candy than Vanellope, because Vanellope's just very, very annoying. But here's the thing, Vanellope's at least not evil. So I would still hate living under her, but she only just barely beats out King Candy. Remember, she is the princess, the real ruler at the end, so there you go. But, yeah, I'm not a fan of Vanellope. One of my least favorite Disney princesses. Okay, and now pretty much all of the other characters on this list are from Frozen 1 and Frozen 2. These two movies have more royalty than almost all the other movies combined. So we start out with the King and Queen from Frozen. And, I mean, this is interesting because we get to see them both in Frozen 1 and Frozen 2. In Frozen 1, they were questionable because they, like, separated their daughters and isolated them both, which led to big problems. But in Frozen 2, we also get to see their relationship a little bit more, and it's clear that they actually were trying to be the best parents that they could be. Having said that, though, I think the combination of the two would make me indifferent. Man, the indifferent tier's filling up fast. I think I'd be indifferent to these two. Well, here's the thing. They sealed off the castle and basically like, we're not interacting with the common folk, which is again a blessing and a curse. I generally like it until there's a threat. So there's that. Okay, where do they go? I'd rank them kind of at the same level as King Hubert, I think. A little bit lower than King Hubert, but above Arthur, because, again, I'd rather take these two over Merlin, mainly. But it's close. Then we've got the leader of the trolls. Man, the leader of the trolls sucks. Like, he is technically a government leader, because they are a society and they have their land, but... Man, he sucked. This guy was responsible for pretty much everything that happened in Frozen 1. And he wasn't much better in Frozen 2 either. Would I hate living as a troll? Yeah, I would not like being in Troll Society. I'll put him at the top of the I hate them tier. I do not like Grand Poppy. Oh shoot! I just realized there was somebody I forgot from Frozen 1. I didn't put the Duke of Weaseltown on here. Hang on. I'm gonna see if I can add him real quick. Okay, sorry about that, but we have successfully added the Duke of Weaseltown, and he's next up on the list. So, again, we don't really get to see what kind of a leader he is, but he's clearly a bit of a fop, to be fair. He hates witchcraft, which honestly, that's kind of based. But also he's just not a very cool person, so I'll put him in the indifferent tier. He's probably a little lamer than the parents, but is he... Honestly, here's the thing. Even though he's a bit of a villain in the movie, he's not really that evil. He has fairly good reasons for doing everything that he does, so I'll actually kind of put him right... No, you know what? Unpopular decision, folks. I'm putting him above the parents from Frozen. Weaseltown, actually not that bad. I'm fairly indifferent to him. I wouldn't vote for him, but he's really not as bad as people think he is. He's just kind of whatever. Okay, now we've got Elsa, and oh boy, it's time to make everybody angry. And as much as everybody loves Elsa, I cannot stand this lady. Okay, first off, Elsa's a terrible character. Objectively, if you look at her from a story perspective. But as far as her being the leader, I hate winter. When Elsa's the leader of your country, it's like, oh, sorry guys, her depression's flaring up again, so now there's just snow everywhere. That would be horrible, especially since Elsa just seems perpetually depressed. This would be terrible. That would not justify me killing her for it, but at the very least, I would hate that more than anything else on it. Well, okay, hang on a second. No. We're gonna backpedal a little bit here, because that's not as bad as genocide. But man, I would hate being in a land of... Okay, here's the thing. Elsa's not actually evil, so we have to move her above Radcliffe. But guess what? You're not as good as Crone. You're not as good as Crone, and you're also not as good as Aladar. So there you go, Elsa. There's your legacy. You're worse than both of the dinosaurs from the dinosaur movie that nobody likes. There you go. I would hate living under Elsa's rule. It would be so bad. It's cold all the time. And Elsa's not even that great. I also put Prince Hans on here. He is a prince. He's never gonna rule, but I put him on just regardless because I think he's an interesting person to rank, because we know Hans is a terrible person if we take the movie at face value. Personally, I think the twist that he is evil makes absolutely no sense and was just shoehorned in at the last second because they chickened out on making Elsa the villain, but that's a video for another day possibly. The weird thing is, Hans keeps that very much under wraps. He's supposed to be this, secret psychopath, and by secret I mean it makes no sense that he's a psychopath until the last, 5 minutes of the movie. But, we actually get to see him being the de facto leader of Arendelle for a long time. And he actually seems to be doing a pretty good job. He's inviting people into the castle to give them shelter from the storm. He gives them out free blankets. And he even tries his best to not kill people for his plan until he literally has to. And then he just goes murder crazy for no real reason. So, yeah, this is a weird one. Because, he's a terrible person beneath it all. But would that actually affect his rule? I kind of think it wouldn't to a certain degree, so I actually think I might be kind of indifferent about... I wouldn't vote for him knowing what he's like, but I think I'd be kind of indifferent to that. Where on the indifferent tier would he go, though? Okay, he's better than Weaseltown. He's better than... Is he better? He's better than Hubert. The Mouse Queen did not offer people shelter, so... There you go. He's not as good as Cusco after his character development, though, so there you go. Hans, you are actually... I would rather live under you than Elsa. He's like, thanks, I appreciate that. Nobody ever appreciates me. Sorry, Hans, but there you go. All right, now we go to Zootopia, which is the next movie with government leaders. We have Mayor Lionheart. And again, while he was kind of involved with that conspiracy, he honestly wasn't the one responsible for it, and I feel like he did pretty much what any politician probably would, which is not to say that that's great, but, yeah, this is kind of hard, because he seems to be like a fairly decent mayor, except for like he was capturing the like missing predators who were going crazy and hiding them from people because he thought it might hurt his campaign, which, yeah, that's not great. As understandable as it is, it's not great. I think I'm probably indifferent to him. Better than Hans, not as good as Cusco. There you go. Oh, and then we got the sheep from Zootopia. You know, the villain who was like the worst twist villain out of them all because it was literally was not explained and had no foreshadowing at all. And I don't even remember her name. Yeah, she sucks. But mainly she sucks as a villain. And for what she's doing. Yeah, she sucks. I hate her. Worse than Crone. Yeah, worse than Crone. Worse than Elsa. I hate winter. But I also hate intentionally sowing division worse. So there you go. But she's not genociding people, so there you go. You beat Radcliffe, but you don't beat Elsa, and that's real sad. That's real sad if you don't beat Elsa. Man, with every character that gets added on, Aladar just ends up looking a little bit more appealing, doesn't he? All right, folks, we're here. We're at the final 5. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We start off with Moana's dad. Don't remember his name, only saw that movie once. I mean, he's kind of one of those politicians who's like would rather ignore the problem than address the problem. That's kind of what I got from him, which I'm not a huge fan of. But at the same time, I can't really say I hate that. So once again, I'm kind of indifferent to Moana's dad. Instantly, he is better than all of these people. He's better than the wolf. Is he better than Beast as a human? No. No, I don't think he is, because he's like, rule number 1, no going near the water. It's like, dude, we're an island nation. No going near the water. Okay, that's fine. Actually, that's kind of similar to King Triton, but he doesn't have the anger issues of King Triton, so that moves him up. I know Prince Adam has anger issues as well, but he's getting better. Whereas Moana's dad is kind of just set in his ways, so there you go. And then speaking of Moana's dad, we then have Moana, who seems like she's her dad, but actually a lot better. You know, she actually tries to solve the problems and makes for a much better leader. So I think I actually would vote for Moana. Over Simba? Probably. Would I vote for her over Grand Councilwoman? Probably. Not over Eric, though. Again, Eric hard carries that couple. Eric, you deserve so much better. Oh man, dude. If Eric married Belle, unstoppable couple pretty much. Except Prince Philip. I mean, come on. Prince Philip is like obviously the best. Even though Zeus is in the top tier, Prince Philip is the best. Okay, then we got free people from Frozen 2. First, starting with the leader of that other winter tribe. Again, I only saw Frozen 2 once. It was like the last movie I saw before the Corolla hit. And I don't remember her name. I don't even know if this is a boy or a girl, if memory serves. And I don't remember anything about this person at all. So she's kind of the dead center of the indifferent tier. I will put her above Snow White and her Prince and below the wolf. There you go. Looks like a girl. It's probably a girl. I don't remember her voice. Did she even do anything? Or was she just like, I'm the leader and your country wronged us? I mean, like, I don't have a whole lot to go off of based on that. Then we've got the old king from Frozen 2, and he was a terrible person. He was like intentionally trying to like crush the other tribe and was like literally murdered someone who's defenseless. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I don't think we can really let that slide. I'll be honest, especially since you're like incurring the wrath of all these spirits. So I think by default we kind of have to go Viva la Revolution. But like at the top, you don't really compare to these other characters. But like there you go, there you go. You're at the top of Viva la Revolution. We can't allow that, but just barely. Actually, hang on. Considering we got Shan Yu in that, is he really worse than Shan Yu? No, hang on. No, he's not as bad as Shan Yu, but they're both kind of on the cusp of the Viva la Revolution. And then last, and not least, but also not best, we've got Anna, who ends up becoming the queen at the end of Frozen 2. Spoiler alert, if anybody even cares. I mean, at the very least, Anna definitely is already beating out her sister, because she's not going to make it snow all the time. But do I hate her? Here's the thing. Again, Anna's just kind of very naive, but she's getting a bit better. But at the same time, it's hard to imagine what she would be like as a ruler. I feel like she would be a little too involved in people's personal lives for me to really appreciate that in a leader, even though people see that as a great thing. I think she's going in, once again, you guessed it, the indifferent tier. I think she's better than Random Tribe Lady, because she's kind of proved that, you know, she at least has... Well, does she have the gumption to be a leader? We know more about her than this lady, so I put her ahead of that because Anna at least seems like she's going to try to do the best job she can. Is she better than the wolves? No, I have more faith in the wolf than I do in Anna. Sorry, Anna, but at least you beat Aladar, and that's really all that matters. So there we go. That is me ranking every government leader from all of the Disney animated canon movies. Now, if there is somebody from a Disney animated canon movie that I missed, then please leave a comment and let me know. But just be warned, if you list a movie that is not part of Disney animated canon, which by the way, I have linked in the description, so there's no excuse for you to choose one outside of that movie. And again, nothing beyond Frozen 2, then you can let me know. Like if you're like, hey, you forgot about like this character, then I'll be like, oh yeah, maybe I did. And maybe I'll add it to the tier list template. But at the same time, there might be some characters who are like, Christopher Robin's kind of a government leader. It's like, okay, no, he's not like the leader of the 100 Acre Wood. He's just like their friend. He's the most competent of the friends, but he's not like above them. Everyone sees each other as equals essentially. So I did not count Christopher Robin. So there you go. Also, I will send a link to the template for this tier list in case people want to make their own. Because personally thinking, I would love it if this actually went viral. I would love it if this officially replaced the political compass test. Remember that weird online test that went viral a couple of years ago where like it would ask you questions and detail what your political beliefs were based on your answers, and it was like ridiculously biased? Yeah, I think this should now replace that. It requires you to have a lot of knowledge on Disney, but I think the answers would be a little bit more insightful and actually tell people a little bit more about your politics than that quiz would. Plus, this one is unbiased because you get to make up your mind about everything and you're not shoehorned into random questions. So there we go. We've got Chernabog at the bottom and Zeus at the top. And I gotta say, it does hurt me a little bit to put a fake god at the top. So we all know Prince Philip is the real MVP. I was not realizing Prince Philip would be this high up, but you know what? I kind of expected Bambi and his dad to be at the top, but this was fun. This was fun. I hope people enjoyed watching this. I had fun putting this together, and who knows, maybe you'll get more tier list content from me in the future. If you're just joining me for this is like your first or second video of me, I generally don't do tier list videos. I generally play games and do live streams of games, and I encourage you to check them out. For everybody who stuck through to the entire video, thank you very much. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys had some fun watching this, and maybe you have your own idea for what you would do for this tier list. So there you go. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and God bless.